Good morning. Welcome back to online classes of VLSI design. In last class we have seen about the design rules and as well as your stick diagrams. So stick diagram was your cartoonic representation of your circuit diagrams, which are very important for the designer to get to know which components that have been used. So in today's class we are going to see about the design rules as well as the layouts. So as to get all this one, why we are first we'll see why we are going to have this design rules. Okay, so this design rules, why we are going for this design rules. So this design rules are very important for your designer or the process engineer to get an information about like how much layer should be there, what should be its width, what should be the spacing between the two layers, how much the wiring should be used, and or everything about your IC that you are going to prepare. So in VLSI design, as process becomes more and more complex, why we are saying more and more complex? Because on small chip we have to fabricate all the components. So that's the reason it is become very complex. A processor becomes more and more complex. Need for the designer to understand its intensity, that how much it has to be fabricated, and interpret the relationship between your different photo masks that have been used. If you are not knowing them properly, then it is very trouble. So this mask is really troublesome. So that's the reason a set of layout rules, or also called as design rules, have been defined. They act as an interface or a communication link between your circuit designer as well as the process engineer during the manufacturing process. So what is the point in this one? Why we are saying that it is a communication link, or it is a interface between your designer and a process engineer? Means I'll give a good example of your blueprint of your house. Whenever you are going to prepare a building or a house, an apartment, we will be having a blueprint that which room has to be placed where, how much should be the length of that particular room, what should be the width of that particular room, okay, how much size should be there, everything, should be the spacing, where should be your study room or bedrooms, etc. So it is this blueprint is nothing but a communication between the owner and the designer. So owner wants like so and so, and the designer, nothing but your engineer has to prepare that one. Correct. So here also these design rules are nothing but they are the communication link between your circuit designer who are going to produce and the process engineer who is going to process all this one. So it is one of the link between your designer as well as the process engineer. So without these design rules, it is very difficult to prepare a particular IC. So the object which is associated with this rule is to obtain the circuit with optimum yield, which means that the functional circuits versus non-functional circuits in as small as area possible without compromising with the reliability. I'll repeat it once again. The main objective of your design rules is to obtain your optimum yield. Means the functionality is very important, plus we are not going to compromise on the reliability. Okay, the reliability will be also very well because of this design rules. So what are the actually why we have gone for these design rules? We have to know that one. So the before going to design rules, what were the limitations? That's the reason we have gone for the design rule. First we see the limitations, then due to that limitations, what are the errors that have been occurred on your IC? We'll see that one. Then afterwards we'll see what are actually design rules. The design rules are classified into two types. I'll just tell them. One is lambda based design rules and one are mu based or micrometer based design rules. We'll also see that clearly. So before going to that one, we'll see what are the limitations that we have seen. So that's the reason we have gone to the design rules. So the limitations that are, the four limitations are over here. First one is photoresist shrinkage or tearing. So as to get your gate terminal, obviously we are using a transistor. The transistor is consisting of three terminals: gate, drain and source. As to get this gate terminal, we should be having a photoresist layer. So if the photoresistor layer is not proper, if it is having shrinkage and tearing, so that's the reason. This is the one of the limitation, that to overcome that one we have gone for the design rules. The second limitation is variations in material disposition, temperature and oxide thickness. So go back to your fabrication process, either your N transistor or NMOS fabrication process or CMOS fabrication process. There you can see how material disposition will be there. Deposition means which kind of materials you are going to deposit on each layer. Then you will be seeing the temperature, because in oxidation there are two kinds of oxidation, wet oxidation and a dry oxidation. How we are depositing it to high temperatures, and what is the oxide thickness? Nothing but silicon dioxide thickness. So if these are not properly used, temperature is not properly used, or oxide thickness, if you are having oxide thickness should also be 1 micrometer thickness for the first layer. For the second layers it should be of 0.1 micrometer thickness. So these are the some complementary things that has to be done for sure. So if these are not done properly, all these design rules are not used properly, then due to these variations we'll be getting some various problems. What will be the problems that we'll see in next one. And impurities, where you are going to use this impurity when you have to get the diffusions, either N diffusion or P diffusion. For a pure silicon crystal, we have to diffuse the impurities for getting your source and drain terminals. And the last one is variations across the wafers. So wafer is nothing but a slice of a silicon crystal on which we are going to prepare your complete IC. All this fabrication process is completely done on a silicon wafer. So taking a proper wafer of silicon wafer is very important. If it is also not done, then you will be having some problems. So as to overcome all this limitation, as to mitigate or remove all these problems which are occurred due to this limitations, we are using these design rules. Now we will see what are the problems that have been occurred due to these limitations. So there are 4 problems that have been occurred due to this limitation. These are the 4 limitations, and these lead to the various problems like transistor problems. Transistor problem means we will be getting a problem in variation of threshold voltage. For every transistor there will be some particular threshold voltage, a limited voltage, okay, after that it won't operate or something like that, a limited voltage. So this may occur due to variations in oxide thickness, which I have already said here, variation in oxide thickness, or ion implantation or poly layer. I'll repeat what is an ion. I'll tell about your ion implantation. Already I have told in manufacturing technologies. The process of introducing high energy charged particles into the substrate is called as your ion implantation, which will be the first step. We are going to introduce the charged particles into the substrate, then that process is called as your ion implantation. So changes in source and drain diffusion, overlapping of the source and drain is also one of the problem for your transistor problems, and variations in substrates. So due to that one we will be getting this problem. The second one is a wiring problem, nothing but your interconnection problems. If you are not having proper spacing, then your wires between the connecting wires may be overlap. Due to that we won't be getting the proper results. So that will be one of the problem. Third one is oxide problems, variations in width and lack of planetary. That is, width means width and height are important aspects when you are going to prepare a transistor. If they are not given properly, you are not giving the values to your height and width, then due to that one you will be getting the oxide problems. And last one are via problems. Via problems are nothing but undersized via, how much resistance has to be done, or via maybe too large, or create shortcut or something like that. So these are the problems that have been occurred, and to remove all these problems, these design rules are specified. To design certain geometric constraints on the layout artwork so that the patterns on the processed wafers will preserve the topology and geometry of your designs. So as to reduce all these limitations and the problems that have occurred from these limitations, as to mitigate all that one, we are using these design rules, which will be specifying a certain geometric constraints for your designer, and they will be giving your proper designs. So that's the reason we are going for your design rules. Now we'll see what are the 2 different types of design rules we are using here in VLSI. So before going to that, we'll see why actually we use design rules. I think now everyone has got the idea why we are going to have like a proper answer why we are going to use these design rules, because it is an interface between your designer and the process engineer, or a communication link between your designer and the process engineer is one. And the process technology referred to the length of the silicon channel between the source and drain terminals in the field effect transistors or your NMOS or PMOS transistor. So there is a proper spacing between your source and drain, because wiring problem is there. Mostly we will be getting problems when you will be having connections between gate, drain and source. So as to stop overlapping all this one, we are using this design rules. Sizes of the features are generally derived as the ratio of the channel length, where some may be larger than the channel size and more are similar or smaller. So this is how why we are going to use your design rules. Now see, we have now the topic is about types of design rules. Why actually we are going for the design rules. So design rules are of two types, as I have already said, lambda based design rules and micrometer based design rules. We'll first address why we are going to use this one. Okay, so the design rules primarily address two issues. First one is the geometrical reproduction of features that can be reproduced by mask making and lithographical process. That is the first one. The second one is the interaction between the layers, because we will be having silicon dioxide layer, then you will be having a polysilicon layer and a photoresist layer. All the different layers will be going on. So as to get the proper interaction between all these layers, we will be using your design rules. And second one is your lithography process, as I have called mask making and lithography. Lithography is nothing but, I hope you remember, the process of transferring patterns of geometrical shapes into the mask to layer them properly. That is nothing but your lithographical process. So for this one we are using this design rules. The main agenda of your design rule, or the main addressing part of your design rule, is to get your geometrical production as well as your interaction between the different layers. So this approach can be done by two methods. One is linear scaling method and the scalable method. Okay, that scalable method is called as your lambda based design rules. One is absolute method, this is scalable, and this is absolute method, which is called as your micrometer based design rules. Okay, see micrometers, this is lambda. So in lambda based design rules, all the rules are defined in terms of single parameter lambda, and the rules are so chosen that a design can be easily ported over a cross section of industrial process, making the layout portable. And scaling can be easily done by simply changing the value of your lambdas. Okay, this point is wrong. Okay, don't concentrate on this one, it's not correct. Okay, so this scaling can be done easily by simply changing the values of your lambda. See, these lambda based design rules are actually fixed design rules. We have already given a parameters like 2 lambda, 3 lambda. They have already set the parameters, and we have to use that parameters or that flow chart, and we have to design our transistor or whatever the IC that you are going to prepare. So all this all the parts in all layers will be dimensioned with the lambda units only. Okay, and this concept states that the actual mask layout design take a small amount of value subsequently allocated to the feature side. Okay, so these are one of them. And the second one is your absolute design rules, or the micrometer based design rules. In this approach, the design rules are expressed in absolute dimensions. Now here in particular dimension, micrometers we will define for every layer, silicon layer, for silicon dioxide layer, or the photoresist layer, or the metal layers, for everything we will be defining this one. So these design rules are expressed in the absolute dimensions that are your and therefore can exploit the features of the given process to the maximum degree. So by using this one, we will be getting the good results, and mostly these micrometer based design rules are also used. So here scaling and porting is more demanding and hence to be performed either manually, either you can use CAD tools. Okay, also these rules tend to be more complex, especially for deep submicrons. So when comparison of your micrometer based rules or absolute design rules and lambda based design rules, these are simpler and these are much more complex, but mostly these micrometer based design rules are also preferable because we are having absolute dimensions over here. But here what happens, we are defining this term by using a single parameters, and we have to choose the design according to that parameters only. So that's the reason we'll be going mostly micrometer based design rules also preferred. Okay, now we'll see about in brief about your lambda based design rules. So these lambda based design rules are, as I've already said, they are scalable based on lambda values, and the classes are MOSes, SCMOS, submicrons. And as to get this lambda based design rules, first we have to use stick diagrams, then afterwards we have to go for the layouts. Okay, this is one of the geometrical representation of your chips. So I'll show how layout figures are drawn. There is one of the important topic, that is layout. So it serves an abstract view between the schematic and the layout. And the circuit diagram or the circuit designer in general wants tighter, smaller layouts for the improved performance and decreased silicon area. So the area should be small, all the components should be nearby, because we should not use bigger areas. Okay, that should be tighter and should be small layouts. On the other hand, the process engineer wants design rules that result in controllable and reproducible process. It means that if your IC should be that much compatible, in case if you are having any errors also, then it should be controllable. That error can be controlled, as well as that should reproduce. Again, it should be coming back to the working process. So that is very important for your process engineer. Generally, we find there has to be compromise for competitive circuit to produce a reasonable cost, and cost should not be also so high, and they're all given with the value of lambda, and design rules with a single parameter lambda. Simple for designing, as we have already said, lambda based design rules are very simple to design, and they are widely accepted, and minimum feature size is given as 2 lambda and used to preserve topological features on the chip. Prevents shorting, means short circuiting between or overlapping, and also prevents from the opens, whatever the open things will be there between your terminals, contacts, or from slipping out of the area to be contacted. So these are the key features that are used in your lambda based design rules. Okay, these are lambda based design rules. Now the next topic that we are going to see is design rules for your wires. What are the design rules that are you going to prepare for the wires? So the design rules and the layout methodology based on the concept of lambda is a process and the feature size, it is feature size independent way of setting out mask dimensions to scale. So all these layers, I'll clearly explain why we are going to use these design rules for wires. So all the paths and all the layers which are dimensioned in lambda units, these are all lambda based dimensions. So lambda units, and subsequently lambda can be allocated on appropriate value which is compatible with the feature size of your fabrication process. So how we are going to define, or how we are going to prepare a transistor or a IC by using your layouts. I'll just go back to one slide. I'll show. This is the stick diagram configuration or the table which I have already given. For NMOS or the N diffusion, we are using green color line. Same here, we'll be using this for the layouts. And do remember the linings. The right slanting line, which is very nearer, very packed, is your N diffusion line. The same right slanting line which is not packed, which is somewhat we will be having some space between this lining, is called as your P diffusion. Same right slanting, I am repeating it as right slanting. P and N diffusion shows the right slanting lines with the brown color for P diffusion and green color for N diffusion. When you are going for the polysilicon, red color line, we will be having a lines of left slanting lines. Okay, these are equally spaced, and this is for your polysilicon. Metal shows your straight lines. Contact cut shows here black dot. In stick diagrams, you will be using a black square over here. Okay, and for implant, obviously a yellow box will be shown for your implant. This is for your layout figures. This is very important, mask layout figuring. Now I'll show how lambda based design rules will be used here. So for N diffusion or P diffusion, as I have said, there are for P diffusion, brown color box with right slanting line with equally spaced lines. Here they will be very nearer lines for N diffusion, and the width of N diffusion should be of 2 lambda, and width and the spacing between two N diffusions or P diffusion should be of 3 lambda. When it comes to the polysilicon, the width of one polysilicon layer should be of 2 lambda, and the spacing between the two polysilicon layers should be of 2 lambda. When it comes to here one diffusion and one polysilicon layer, obviously for preparing a fabrication process of your transistor, for NMOS transistor, we will be having a layer of polysilicon and a diffusion also, either P diffusion or N diffusion. So the difference or the space between that two layers should be of 1 lambda, this one. So this is your 1 lambda. Then comes to your metals. We will be using 2 metals or 3 metals depending upon the application that you are going to use or you are going to prepare. If I am going to prepare a CMOS transistor or the fabrication of CMOS transistor, there 2 tubs will be used. One is N-well process and P-well process. Means separately you have to prepare a PMOS transistor and a NMOS transistor. So you will be using a metal layer for getting the gate drain source terminals or the wiring of NMOS transistor, and one more layer should also be used for your gate drain source. So you will be using 2 metal layers. So as to differentiate 2 metal layers of 2 transistors, we will be giving the 2 different linings also. For the first metal layer, you will be giving the straight linings in this box, and for the second layer, it should be a sleeping lines. And the first metal layer should be of width 3 lambda, and spacing between the 2 metals should be of 3 lambda. Okay, then as for the second metal, you will be having the width of that particular layer, second metal layer, is of 4 lambda, and the spacing between that 2 particular metal layers is of 4 lambda. I will be giving a question like which metal is used for your interconnections. This question I will be giving in the Google form of your attendance link. You have to answer there which metal is used in your fabrication process for interconnections. This is your assignment question. The small question you have to answer over there. Okay, so these are the lambda based design rules, and these are the dimensions that are used. This is polysilicon, this is N diffusion, and these are the metals. Okay, polysilicon is of 2 lambda width, spacing is also 3 lambda. Polysilicon is of 2 lambda, spacing is also 2 lambda, and the spacing between an N diffusion or P diffusion and a polysilicon layer should be of 1 lambda. Metal layers spacing should be of 3 lambda, and if you are using second metal layer, its width should be of 4 lambda, and spacing between that two should be of also 4 lambda. I hope you are clear with this, all the lambda based design rules over here. In the next class, I will be discussing about your lambda rules, micrometer based lambda rules with all examples. Okay, thank you.